We're back, baby! Welcome to the Resistance Broadcast Live. Thank you so much for joining us on this Thursday evening. That's right, back on Thursdays. And we are very excited to be here with you, or if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, however you're taking in this episode of TRB, thank you very much for joining us in the base. We are here to have a good time, and we're going to tackle a lot of the latest Star Wars news, including some rumors, your tweets and Resistance transmissions later in the show, and a bunch of other stuff, and I'm sure some fun tangents along the way. I'm John, and with me as always is James Baney and Lacey Gilleran. How we doing?
Hello, hello.
Drew? How are we? Lacey's got the branding on. That's nice to see.
Why do you say it like that? Yes, I have a TRB shirt on. What is that supposed to mean?
What? There's no like. I feel like tonight, even before we recorded this, you think there's this like deeper thing.
Well, I know that if you watch video, I haven't been wearing TRB shirts for a while. And to be fair, it's because I was gigantic and pregnant and very hot all the time. So I was like rocking tank tops for like, I was like a dude that works in a deli. I was rocking tank tops for like 3 months straight.
Do dudes in delis wear tank tops a lot?
Yeah.
Or like a diner, like a Dexter, Jetster type situation. But now I can get back into my t-shirts again, so back to my normal stuff, I guess.
Excellent. It's good to see it. So we have a lot to talk about. And before we do that, I want to welcome everyone who's joining us live. If you're in the live chat, thank you. Hope you're having a good time. Have fun. If you have super chats that you want to send in, we will read those on the show. And they will also get a front of the line over all other comments, of course. But keep that chat going because it always helps our conversation. So thank you for joining us live. But again, however you're taking in the show, we appreciate it very, very much. Spread the word, subscribe, tell your friends, all that good stuff. And away we go here. To start, a little bit of somber news to kick things off here, as the voice of Salacious B. Crumb, also popularly known as doing the voice of the Mogwai in Gremlins, Mark Dodson has passed away, unfortunately, and he was still making the convention circuits, and a lot of people have in our community reached out saying that they met him. He's such a nice guy. He was down to earth, and who doesn't hear that laugh of Salacious B. Crumb in their head the moment they think of him? So he will certainly live on forever, and always put a laugh or a smile on my face every time I see that character. So he will forever entertain me, even though he has passed on and is now one with the Force. But rest in peace, Mark Dodson. Now, to turn things to the complete other way to balance out this thing, Cerveza Cristal. Does that ring a bell to anybody?
I know what it is.
It's been everywhere.
It's been everywhere, yeah.
Cerveza Cristal. So, James, why don't we just get to it and watch these and revel in this very real product placement edited into the original.
This is whiplash right here, folks. This is nightly news. Someone just got robbed. Oh, here's a basket full of puppies. Like,
have something here for you. Your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough.
Cerveza Cristal. Cerveza Cristal.
Your father wanted you to have a Cerveza Cristal when you were old enough.
This just doesn't seem real.
Cerveza Cristal.
Galen Erso hid some gears in the Death Star as he was designing.
Clear your mind of question.
So the understanding when I first saw it was that these were baked into the movie, but I don't think they are. I think these are commercials, right?
Cerveza Cristal.
Yoda gets gears.
It is pointless to resist.
Can't be real.
Oh, Palpatine!
I just saw so many memes this week of like different movies and stuff randomly putting that at like the One Ring in Lord of the Rings, like
right.
Oh, it's just so good. That's just so funny, and it's even funnier that like someone who knows everything, like Pablo Hidalgo, tweeted that he's ashamed he didn't know of this, and that none of his members or anybody he knew had told him about this. So if he didn't know, nobody knew. So I think this is like with this beautiful unearthing of something that's been in like a time capsule on the internet for 20 years, and it's amazing it hasn't surfaced yet. But the gift that keeps on giving, Cerveza Cristal. So sponsor the pod, Cerveza Cristal. Sponsor the pod.
Oh my god,
Sponsor
we
the
just need a
pod.
clip that we play randomly in the episodes that are Cerveza Cristal.
So it's funny. Brian Ward just commented, it looks like something I would make, and I agree, Brian. So I did a guest spot on the Sith list, and they watched these, and they said we're gonna start seeing fake ones come out, and I'm like, yeah, like Brian Ward's gonna make these. So I'm right there with you, Brian. This definitely looks like something you would do. Absolutely bananas. What do you guys make of this? Imagine watching Star Wars on TV and then you see this.
So
It seems
So
like
again-
a good SNL skit.
these to me were, I think, pitched as being like they were baked into the movie, but I don't think they were. I think those look like commercials. They just look
No.
like they.
No, that's exactly what it is. They were in the movie to avoid them using commercial
Doing commercial
time.
breaks.
They put their commercials into the movie.
It's why
They were
Confirmed.
probably at times that like it would happen and then it cuts away to a different scene, so it's not as noticeable as when they're back to back to back.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I figured it would just cut back to like whatever they were doing in the moment, but none of the clips show that. So I was like, that's weird that it doesn't show cutting in. It just shows what looks to be like a 15-second ad, and then
It also
That's it.
looks a little fake to me in the sense that like they look too good from being from like 1980, 1970. Like they look too crisp.
Mm-hmm.
That's why at first I thought they were fake, because I was like, these look a little too crisp for me.
Yeah. I wonder if it's good. I like Pilsners. Mm.
can
But
you
anyway,
get it?
I'm sure. Why not? I'll see if I can order
I don't know,
some.
because it's like only sold in Spain or wherever this was.
I'll
I don't know.
order some and I'll drink 12 on a live podcast.
Oh my god.
We'll have a
believe it.
wild one, folks. All right. All right.
Sounds like a nightmare.
Let's get. Oh, stop it! You have so much fun when I'm getting toasty at Celebration. So get out of here. All right.
12 is a nightmare for anyone.
What?
12 beers is a nightmare for anybody.
Depends. All right. Here we go. I had
Okay.
12 tacos. Why not 12 beers?
Sounds
All
like
right.
doesn't matter when you black out at 7 or whatever. Yeah.
Oh my
You got that
god.
baby in cruise control and just ride. No. All
All
right.
right.
Let's get into the meat of the show.
We
That
do
is
have a
called-
couple super chats. Do we want to hit those before we get into this?
Let's get into
Yep.
the meat of the show. Our 2 super chats.
Perfect. So first up, we have Miles. What up, Miles? Thanks for the super chat. He said, will you make a petition to get a new dev team to pick up development on that canceled Star Wars FPS game? Hashtag fuming. And he does a little angry emoji face like, grr. I will not be making a petition, Miles, but I appreciate the passion that you have in the super chat. Guys, what do you think?
Yeah, we don't do petitions. They're like somebody, which we were not happy about, made a change.org make Solo 2 happen petition, and people thought it was us.
That
So
was
it's
definitely
people
not
like,
us.
We did not make that. That's
Mhm.
absurd. So we are not the petition type. We are not judging people who are petition types. At least that's my opinion. But we're not the petition types. So hopefully the game gets made. Hopefully they get people in line. I know the gaming industry seems to be in some trouble with a lot of layoffs across multiple companies. So I hope they're able to figure stuff out and get the right people to work and maybe get this thing made. But I'm not a big gamer, so I'm just for people who love games. I hope it works out.
I mean, the concept of a first-person shooter Mandalorian game sounds pretty cool. That was sort of exciting, but I never really put too much into the stock. And I said this last week, like of any of these games, really, except, and I could be wrong on this, but I believe that it was confirmed by someone that Jedi Order or Jedi 3 is coming. Like they are going to do it
Yeah.
because the first two were so successful. And I believe that. I mean, there's money involved. Like they were like, we have a proven track record that these games were huge and everybody loved them. So I don't know why we wouldn't make them. But all these other ones that are like iffy, I don't know, man, they're tough. Also makes you wonder where like the next Battlefront is. Like, what's going on with that? Why isn't that, you know,
I
Right.
have no
in
idea.
development? But then again, it could be that they're writing Battlefront for a long time, kind of like GTA, for instance. Like they have a big successful game, they just write it as long as they possibly can to where
Mhm.
people are not buying things anymore or
Right.
consistently playing it, and then they juice that up by saying, all right, we're going to work on the next one.
Right.
But yeah, it's a bummer. Yeah.
Sorry, Miles. But thanks for the super chat. We love having you in our.
Yeah,
online.
thanks, Miles.
Yeah,
Appreciate
absolutely. It's good to
Next
talk
is
talk about
Kyle.
it.
What up, Kyle? Who has a different picture now? Kyle,
Ooh.
what? Who's in that picture now? Is that Sabine? Is that Sabine? I can't tell. I
Looks
think
like
it is.
Migna.
I can't tell. It's too small. Too small on my
I
screen.
can't. It does kind of look like Mig.
But Kyle, thank you for the super chat. He says, thanks, TRB, for all the great content. You're so welcome. Excited to see Disney's releasing Andor and Kenobi on Blu-ray. Yes, they are. Physical media people, stand up. What? That's me. And John too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not standing up.
I am so hyped. Those steelbooks look amazing. I have the 2 Mandalorian ones. Yeah, no, this is awesome, especially now that we've seen companies delete stuff just because they want to for funsies. So
Yeah.
this is really exciting. I'm just waiting for them to put Willow out on DVD, to be honest, on Blu-ray.
Yeah. I definitely gonna pick up all this stuff. I like Star Wars is just must Blu-ray buys for me. So
Right.
even though I may not love everything that came out of all these shows, I'm still gonna put them up on the shelf. And it looks to be via my technical prowess of stretching out my StreamYard window that it's Diana Lee Inosanto and Elizabeth Marie Winstead.
Nice.
Oh.
That's a sweet picture. He has a different one every week, I swear.
Kyle Beckworth has taken a photo with every person who's ever been in Star Wars at this point, I think.
It seems like it.
But thank
what
you,
he's going
Kyle.
for.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And it wouldn't be a show, of course, without a super chat from Freezy.
Freezy.
What up, Freezy? My daughter is sick. I'm sorry if you're hearing it. Freezy, what up? He says, after Bad Batch is over, what characters and era do you think the next animated show will move on to, not counting Tales of the Jedi? James, I'm going to kick this off with you.
It's tough. I mean, I'd like to see High Republic, but I'd also like to see, and I don't know how they make this happen because they got an ongoing comic series and stuff, but like, it would be really cool to just see a Han, Leia, Luke animated show, you know, doing stuff. But that could be tough, and I feel like one thing that the animation has always done really well is like they pick out smaller characters that seem meaningless, and over the course of the seasons they delve into why they're important, to start off that show with like, well, we already know why they're important, and in fact everything that we show you right here is the least important thing they did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's tough, but I'd like that show. I think that could be fun. But High Republic seems like an obvious one that would be really cool and get some synergy and actually maybe get more eyes on that. Like, oh, I never read it or any of the books or the comics, but I like the show, and maybe that would, you know, open the door for some people. So I'll say High Republic.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Cool. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Freezy.
You guys got nothing?
Oh, I thought John
no
had done this.
animation suggestions?
I agree with that. I'm sorry. I might have to jump on the stream. I'll be right back. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I think the Han, Luke, and Leia thing makes sense. That would probably get the most eyeballs, and it could probably be a very fun thing that you could insert and not completely disrupt, you know, canon. But I wonder if they're gonna. I don't know how well like High Republic books sold. Like we're so dialed into the diehard fandom that it seems like it's a very popular thing. But is it popular enough to make a show and try to get eyeballs on it, which is what they need for whether it's Disney Plus or they put it on TV or something. Because I think that would be the way to go. Because so far it's only been in print in comic books with High Republic. So I mean, it really depends on who this new person that they get in there, because it looks like they want to look for the next Filoni for animation. So I don't have a preference, but I have a feeling if High Republic is genuinely successful, again, I don't know because you can't find out book sales numbers. That might be the way they go.
Curious when it comes to animation too, because like, you know, what greenlets a show? What is it, something that they say like, we got enough going on this? Because we got Rebels, which you could tie it into the original trilogy or something like that, but it was all new characters and stuff, so there was no real built-in fan base there. And then you had Resistance too, which I think you could probably look at a failure there. Like it wasn't a bad show, but I don't think like they only did their 2 seasons and then like kind of bounced out.
Right.
And when it was on, I didn't feel like a lot of people were super into it, but again, it like didn't have a lot to do with the sequel trilogy. It was a bunch of new characters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if you did a High Republic show, you do actually sort of have a little bit of a built-in audience there, because you do have people who know those characters,
right?
And to get right off the jump, you're still introducing it to probably a mass majority of people. But you know, if they told me they were going to do a show and you could see a lot of the characters that you've been reading and looking at in the comic books and all this artwork and stuff, you know, there's a little bit built in more so than somebody saying like, well, this is Kaz. You've never seen Kaz before, but we hope you come and watch our show.
Is there room to tell more stories? Because they've made so many books in this era that are supposed to sort of conclude the High Republic also. So that's another aspect. And do increasing book sales important to them, which would inevitably happen if people who didn't read them got into the show and then went back and retroactively bought the book. So I don't know, but we will see. Freezy, let us know in the comments where you want to go on the anime. But James, let's talk a little bit. Let's fire up the Resistance report and talk a little about our thoughts on Bad Batch.
Yeah, there you go.
It's the Resistance.
We got one more super chat in from Cam Miller Films. Thanks, Cam. Really appreciate it. And Cam said, possibility of the return of Force Friday with upcoming new movies. Those events were family affairs. And isn't that what Star Wars is all about? Lacey, welcome back. Force Fridays, do you think they will return as new movies come back?
I would love that to be the case. I'm assuming you're talking about like toys and stuff. From what I've literally asked this question of Hasbro, and they basically said no. they were like, nah, we have our own events. You know, they do like Mando Mondays, and they do like special releases, but they've really dedicated most of their stuff to online now. They don't do in-store, which is, we'll see what happens when movies start coming out. But right now, currently, when I asked them about it, they were like, no.
That's a good point. What if they just had one every day? Like Mando Mondays, Tatooine Tuesdays.
That's a lot of toys.
Wednesdays.
No, I know. What?
Watto Wednesdays.
I was going to say Jawa Wednesdays. That's like...
But Cam, that's a great question. I'm assuming your name's Cam. It's a great question. I've asked it, and I wish that they would do it because I was one of the people that would go to those events. But yeah.
Thank you, Cam. All right, James. Now you can start Resistance report.
We did.
Yeah, we're past the jump, and you can start the segment.
Well, yeah, I just like as you said, right on the other side of Resistance report, we were going to talk a little bit about the Bad Batch season 3, episode 5. Quick thoughts. Everybody saw my thing, but what did you think, John?
I was proud of myself that I caught the clear homage to Jurassic Park. with priming the breaker and reestablishing the perimeter and that stuff. Felt like Tremors a bit. I know some people are saying Dune also, but also made me think of Chapter 9 of The Mandalorian with the Great Dragon blasting out of the sand and that sort of stuff. I liked the reflective, somber moment of Crosshair setting up the helmets and sort of explaining his frame of mind to I don't know if it was Hunter or Wrecker. He was explaining to, might have been Hunter, probably Hunter.
Probably Hunter.
Wrecker's not really the intellectual type.
Yeah.
But overall, a fun episode. A lot of action, which I thought was cool. I hate sand, just like Anakin, and seeing them have to like dig in sand, it's like a nightmare for me because I feel like no matter how much you dig, it just keeps piling in. But overall, it was it's a good episode. It's a good episode.
For everybody, who didn't see the Bad Batch reaction show, if you want to go see more, I talk, in depth about the episode and my thoughts. But I got to say just really quickly, I think that's the best episode of the season so far. And at this point, it almost feels like the episodes are actually getting progressively better and better. This one really was smart to tie into a episode from season 2 and give us that payback, that payoff, that return to that place, and see through new eyes now how he approaches that situation. Because he was there at the time still on the Empire side, and that was the moment he made the choice to fight against him, but having to return there with his old family, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's such a strong episode, and I'm excited for people to continue to see more of the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
Tuscan Thursdays, I like that one.
Yeah.
But let's talk about our headline, because the rumors are starting to ramp up around this Rey Skywalker movie. And this is another, we talked about this last week, but this is another like rumor coming out of Daniel Rickman's book, if you will, Patreon. But what he is saying is that the movies are currently casting and they're looking for 3 additional main leads. And then they got into specifics. 2 of the leads will be the apprentices of Rey, and then of course the main villain of the movie. So it starts to, like, if that's true, you can start painting pictures. You're like, okay, well then this is probably not true if that's the angle they're going at, and that's probably not true if that's the angle, or that rules that out for sure. But Lacey, what are your thoughts on these rumors? I guess you could say, A, do you think it's true? And B, if it is true, then what now?
I think it is true. And I think, I think Angela Bassett could be actually going for that villain role, like people had hinted at before. I think that's a great possibility. She's an amazing actress. As for the 2 apprentices, that sounds a lot like Damon Lindelof's script, which was 2 apprentices that were working with an older Rey that they've now just reworked, and it's not old Helen Mirren anymore, as they said it was. It is now young Daisy Ridley with 2 apprentices. So, I think that this is true. I think they were already working on this. It's interesting that they're going to do the 2 apprentices, because in my mind, I'm immediately going, oh, are they going to do one is good and then one turns bad?
Right.
Like, yeah.
It seems like if they do that, not that that isn't a good story, not that it couldn't be good, like if they go down that route, but it seems very basic. It seems like very like
it's
that's
been
the
done
first thing you think of
several times.
It's basic.
I tend to think that this is probably true. I mean, we're headed in that direction. They're going to be casting anyway. What I was considering about the things that may or may not be ruled out is, okay, they're casting a villain, so the villain isn't somebody we've already seen, right?
Right.
That rules that out if that's true. And the other thing is, and this doesn't completely rule it out, but if she has 2 apprentices, then she might not have family, or those apprentices might not be her children. doesn't necessarily rule it out, but that was kind of my thought.
I don't think
Is
it's
if they're
their children.
casting two
I
younger people for Rey to
Mhm.
have in the movie, they're probably not going to also have a family that's like over there. So they're
Mhm.
not part of the story or something. So
Yeah.
I just think that's interesting. John, what are your thoughts on the rumor?
I don't like. I'm trying to approach this without like. I'm not trying to be insulting or dismissive to this guy because he clearly gets things right and stuff. Putting stuff behind a paywall, it's going to come out. We've been through that, but like, it seem just a little obvious? I mean, we've got a new Rey movie. Palpatine's dead. I mean, hopefully he comes back because just seeing the look on
No.
people's faces. Will
Oh
be
my
worth it.
God, me alone. I'd be like, that's it.
Hopefully
I'm
he
out.
comes back.
That would be the greatest thing that ever happened. But and I'm kidding, he's not coming back. But so she needs a villain. So they're casting a villain, shocker. And then Rey's starting a new Jedi Order, and it's 15 years later. I wonder if she's gonna have apprentices. So it's like when I read this, I was like, all right, yeah,
This has already been said though. Jeff Snyder said this like a year ago. He was like,
well, I don't know if
"Hey,
they, yeah,
Damon
I don't-
Lindelof's script is two people of color, diverse cast members that are going to be apprentices of Rey, who's an older Rey.
Mhm.
They've now just made Rey normal Daisy Ridley
The
and
only thing,
kept the same story."
yeah. The only thing that makes me scratch my head is because I always try to connect other things that have been said tied to this. And I remember Daisy Ridley saying it was very unexpected what the story idea was very different, and she didn't expect it or something like that.
Yeah.
So
What is not expected about what's so expected about the script, I guess, is what I'm saying.
well, yeah. So my thought on that is everything I've heard so far feels very expected. So what about this, if it's true, is unexpected? And my mind initially went to these are going to be Rey's kids. So, but I don't think I know people are saying oh, she's going to
Wouldn't that
wind up.
be more expected if it's her kids?
No,
that in the
because
family?
because I mean, I don't know. It depends on the person, or it depends on what does Daisy Ridley consider
That's what I'm thinking. It's it's hard to nail that down because she
Yeah.
could think something is so wild and unexpected, and they did it in Legends. She could think something wild, and they did it in a comic book.
So
it's hard to gauge.
I don't know how concrete this is, but at the same time, it just seems pretty obvious. They need a villain, so they're going to cast a villain, and she's starting a whole new Jedi Academy or Jedi Order. Of course, she's going to be the master, so she's going to have apprentices. So none of this is oh yeah, but at the same time, once this stuff starts, when we're saying these rumors are heating up, more is going to come because people are going to people who have. So in my experience, people who are going to have information and they see something that is similar to theirs, it's going to push them to put theirs out, and then someone else is going to put theirs out and stuff. And I'm not condoning full plot leaks or anything like that. I'm just saying expect more stuff to start coming out as we get closer to filming, as more loose lips echo through the halls of wherever this info comes from, and as more of these people who do report on this stuff get the itch because they see other people doing it. And like I said, this guy put it on his Patreon. So who else has a Patreon who's going to say, well, I got this Star Wars story. So it's just starting to heat up now. And as a fan, I love it because it allows us to do what we love doing, which is wondering and speculating and stuff like that. So I feel like we're just getting started and the embers are just getting heated up. So I'm excited to see where this goes. But for this, this could be real, it could be made up, it could be whatever it is. It's probably true because it just is what's going to happen based on what we know about the story.
Yeah, it feels like everything we know about this movie is that they're going for the most obvious thing, except for that quote from Daisy Ridley where she said it was unexpected. That's your point, right?
My scoop. I have a scoop for this.
She also said that it was going to be
the Millennium
satisfied.
Falcon's going to be in the Rey movie, exclusive.
Oh my gosh!
It was just broadcast.
She also said that people were going to be satisfied with the ending of the sequel trilogy, and we know that to not be the case.
Well,
so it's hard to gauge what she's saying.
When your leader says it,
Yeah, satisfied.
Hey Daisy. You
Hmm.
said
Yeah, it's a little more detailed, but I think like this almost falls into that category of just like you can say things about the movie like I'm hearing blank, and then if it doesn't come true, it's just kind of like, oh, I guess things changed, but what I said was true at the time.
Yeah, there's no
know?
repercussions if someone just makes stuff up. It's the
Right.
internet.
Yeah, and this is basic enough. This is kind of like so Bad Batch 2 season ends and they haven't announced a third season. It's easy to say I'm hearing Bad Batch season 3 is happening, and then if it does, then it's like you're
See?
pointed to is correct, and if it doesn't, then it's easy to be like, I don't know, things changed, I guess.
Matt Smith.
But
Yeah, that's not what people told me. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's my favorite tweet. That's not what people told me. Yeah, because nobody told you anything.
My favorite was always some very legit reporter, say Jeff Snyder reported on something, and then someone else quote tweets it and says, "I'm also hearing this." Oh, you are? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad to know that you're also hearing this.
Two sources.
Come
I'm
on,
also hearing
man.
it because I read his article.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
Oh,
I trust
boy.
my source. The person who posted it.
LeBron James announces retirement from basketball, and I'll quote tweet and be like, "I am also hearing this."
John, I think you need to make a social media account where you just retweet all these scoops and just be like, I am also hearing this.
I'll call the account, "I'm also hearing this," or "also
Yeah.
hearing this." Yeah.
Or it's just all that kind of fake scoop stuff. You're like, I'm hearing now there's trouble in this production, may be resolved soon. Or so,
I'm like, sorry, Johnny, we can't throw the ball around the backyard today. Daddy has work to do. I'm gonna troll strangers on Twitter.
I am also hearing this.
I am also
You're
hearing
gonna get
this.
blocked so fast.
Oh yeah,
You
I'm
get
sure.
the ban hammer.
Yeah.
You
But,
just go on all the Reddit threads and just keep doing that too. Just I'm also hearing this, and they're all
I
like,
am
"Who is
also
this guy?"
hearing this.
Yeah. And when everybody says, "Who are you?" you just put known scooper.
Oh yeah, if I put that in my bio.
And then someone's like, "No, you're not." And you're like, "Look, I just scooped this just now. It's just a scoop." No, your picture is just an ice cream scoop.
No, doing an AI photo of me just hanging out with Robert Downey Jr. and make that my bio picture or something. They're like, look at this guy, this Hollywood insider, and I put my address as Hollywood.
This just in: Lucasfilm meeting with new creatives to produce more Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then nothing happens, and he just goes, "I heard things changed. They're no
I
longer."
mean, but
creatives.
that's always gonna happen. There's no denying Lucasfilm
Exclusive.
is always currently meeting new creators to make new Star Wars. It's just never stopping.
Brian Ward says profile pic with John with fake goatee and glasses. No, it's just those glasses with the big nose and the mustache. I am also
exclusive. Star Wars to continue using light speed in future movies. I am also hearing this.
Kathleen Kennedy says Crawl may or may not come back.
You also have to put out those tweets that are like, my inbox is awesome. Just got something really great in my inbox.
Yeah, right.
You'll only ever use one GIF.
My head
and
hurts.
It's always Obi-Wan Kenobi just thinking, or looking,
Yeah. I'll tweet on Monday, "Hello there," and then the next day, I'll just be like, "Never mind."
So stupid. This is so stupid.
Lacey, after all of this, how are you feeling about this report? I mean,
didn't I just comment on this?
Yeah.
No, I know. Yeah, but I'm saying
How am I feeling about it? I look, I
still believe it.
I think it's true based on what we've heard previously. But again, I'm also basing it on someone that's going, I've heard this after we just had this conversation.
Right.
So I feel a little dumb.
My point. Yeah.
That being said, I agree with John completely that we're going to hear more and more of these things, especially like we said last week with the Mando production where they're having like, what was it, like 2,500 extras, 3,500 extras. They couldn't keep secrets from the Ahsoka and Mando sets when they had Stormtrooper extras in. You think they're going to keep 3,500 people quiet? People all want their little moment. It's human nature to have a little bit of information, be like, I know this. Keep it between you and me. And it never stays between two people. Like it's bound to happen, but I'm just pumped that something's happening in Star Wars movie area. Because right now we have nothing going on. We have announcements, but we've had a lot of announcements over the years. And I just want to be back in the movie theater enjoying Star Wars.
Yeah, and the
But I'm also hearing all of this, that these things are happening.
You know what? I just had a thought. If we ever see a report that says so-and-so, doesn't have to be a scooper, even like a real person says, this Star Wars movie is still happening, is that like the first nail in the coffin? Always?
I mean, still happening is not
eventually
a good phrase.
No, but nobody's reporting on the Rey Skywalker movie is still happening, or Mando and Grogu is still happening. It like has
Mando
to
and
go
Grogu
through.
Totally happened.
What?
Mando and Grogu just got announced, so it's hard to.
That's what I'm saying. So then what point does a report come out that says Jon Favreau says Mando and Grogu is still happening? And is that the first like nail in the coffin of like, oh, it's probably not happening?
When a website or blog, and it doesn't even have to be that big, puts out an article saying Mandalorian movie shelved by Disney, and it gets legs because fans
Favreau
see a
fighting with
headline
Kathleen
that looks, but you can make a headline look
I
professional.
don't think they address that stuff.
But hold on, it gets wings. People retweet it. It starts trending. All of a sudden, Yahoo Movie News, like their bloggers write it because no one has editors anymore. They're just like, "Oh, you're hearing that? Let it rip. Who cares? The world's burning." And then Lucasfilm's like, "You got to be kidding me! Let's send blank reporter from blank website this trade that it is still happening."
I'm hearing a source from Lucasfilm says,
yeah. And then those people get to ride on their white horse and be like, I'm not hearing this, but I am hearing from Lucasfilm that the movie's still happening. And everyone's like, yeah! So this is the wild world of Star
and that's
Wars.
why we have rumors like Kate Middleton's getting a BBL. So that's the internet.
I don't know what you just said.
Kate Middleton has been missing for like 3 months. She has not been seen at all.
Who's that?
The big Kate Middleton, married to Prince William, who's next to
the royal
throne.
Yeah.
She's been just MIA, and everyone's like, "Where is she?" So it's turned into this whole internet thing that everyone thinks she's getting a Brazilian butt lift, and she's gonna roll up one day with one.
I am not also hearing that,
but like nobody's been putting.
Is she coming out and clarifying? I'm right here.
So the palace came out last week and was like, "She's just sick, guys." Everyone was like, "That's the best you can do."
So they actually did make a statement on it. I mean,
they made a statement on it saying she was, she's recovering from an operation. But it just reminds me of like literally people make up everything and anything now, and then people take these rumors that become like such out of control rumors and memes and stuff like that.
That's what I'm saying. That's
and then they're having TikTokers go to red carpets and ask these questions like, "Are you getting a Brazilian butt lift?" And you're like,
but that's my point is when the source has to come out and say like this rumor is not true, then that's the point at which you start to go, oh, that makes me think it is true.
I get what you're saying.
Because usually they don't address it. If it's just some crazy thing like, well, where's she at? She must be in space or something, like it's stupid. They're not going to address it. But if they do address it and say, guys, don't worry, that movie's still happening, that's usually the point at which you're like, something's up.
Yeah. I mean, like Ryan
they're having to like address these rumors or whatever.
I'm excited to learn more about things like The Acolyte from Leslie Headland. We're going to get those hard-hitting questions on the red carpet, like, will you sign my puppy? And, I love Russian Doll. Thank you for everything, stuff like that. What else we got, James?
Speaking of that, just really quickly too, there was also a rumor that rumors Collider is hearing that it was Acolyte is scheduled for June.
Yeah,
Is
we
that right?
talked about. Yeah, we talked about that.
I don't think we talked about that.
Yeah, we did last
Yeah, we
week.
did. Yeah,
I don't think we talked about it.
Yes, we-
covered it.
Anyway, let's move on to John Williams, because there was a Variety article that was about basically his whole life, reflecting on the legacy of 54 Oscar nominations, and a lot of the movies and his legacy and all this stuff. So a lot in here, and a little bit of a hint that he is not done with music yet. So John, talk about this article. What were your thoughts, and I guess thoughts on John Williams' legacy?
Well, I think the coolest thing about John Williams is that he is so absurdly humble. It's almost hard to wrap your head around it, because he knows he's the best. He knows he's the greatest film composer of all time. But I think he just earnestly humbles himself and approaches life from a different perspective, that his work is important, but he's a human being, living his life and doing his work and stuff. So that stuff alone, I think, is always like a really cool lesson. If someone like John Williams can say something like, I just want to be remembered as someone who worked hard, did a good job, and made good music. And everyone should be able to be that humble. So that's really cool. As far as like him not retiring, I love it. It's inspiring. He's 92. He is still has all of his faculties. He has his wits about him, still very creative, still doing great work. I thought what he did in Indiana Jones was very good. The themes he made, for Han Solo, Obi-Wan, I thought were very good. And I thought he crushed it in the sequel trilogy not that long ago. So he still has his fastball. It's just a matter of how much he can work. I could see, the Rey movie's pretty far off. He's probably not going to do the Mando movie, because I think that's going to be Ludwig. So if it's the Rey movie, I could see him like working with another composer maybe, and creating something to kick off this next adventure for Rey that takes his theme he already created for her and other themes from the sequel trilogy, and how he like weaves things into the next set of films or whatever, and then pair that with sort of like a little bit like how they did Solo, where he made Han's theme, and like John Powell said, he built around that, and he was very collaborative with him, and that whole thing. From when we interviewed John Powell, that was like a really cool conversation. I could see something like that going on. I find it hard to believe that John Williams will do another full, complete score for a movie that we're not going to see for like 3 years or something like that. I would be completely happy if that was the case. But I could see him still being involved in some way. He doesn't need to have this grand final, I finished this full movie and now I'm walking away thing. And I think he realizes that. And that's why he's like walking back the I'm retired thing. If he's still around and he's still able to contribute to Star Wars, why not have him make a new theme or a new track, or evolve Rey's theme into something else for this next adventure? I could definitely see that.
It's interesting. Lacey, what are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I could see him honestly already making that theme right now. Like, just because the movie is a ways off doesn't mean he doesn't have like stuff that he's either never used, or like a folder of things that like could morph into songs later on. We all know how he loves Daisy Ridley, and they're like pen pals and they write letters to each other. So I could definitely see him being like, you guys want a theme? I can make you a theme. I'll make it right now, and you could just have it. I agree with John. He's the most humble person ever. And to even, because the three of us have been in the same room with him while he composes live, it's just kind of like a really magical experience. And that's not to be corny or cheesy. It's truly like one of the best moments of my life was witnessing him do his thing. He just has such a creative intelligence that I know I could never reach. Like, he's just on a different wavelength of creativity and intelligence and just like skill. It's insane. But my favorite part of this interview is actually him talking about working with George on Star Wars and how he talked about the music with George, and George was so involved, which I really loved hearing with the music process, and just telling him, yeah, I want like classical, but not this type of classical. I want this type of classical because, you know, everything you see is desolate and otherworldly and different people from different species and things you've never seen before, that they wanted the music to sound like something that you're used to, which is now to us become, you know, John Williams-esque is what everybody uses to describe other composers now. But the idea that he wanted the music to kind of bring the audience back to earth, so to speak, and have that emotional connection to these characters and moments makes total sense, because that's probably the perfect word to describe John Williams' music, is emotional. Like, I've never felt more emotional listening to songs than John Williams songs, and they just bring so many different moments back to me. I also really like the little note about how he has the Robin Hood poster from like 1938, right when he comes in you go into his office on the Universal lot, and they're talking about how that movie in itself is an inspiration to him because the music is very similar to what you would picture now as being John Williams-esque, is like that composer. But yeah, just any kind of tidbits or like insight into who he is as a person and where he gets his inspiration from is always super interesting to me. But yeah, I've seen videos where I know one went around a while ago of him working with Spielberg on E.T. and like them sitting at the piano together, coming up with that theme. I really hope he does Ray's theme for the new movie or does something for the new movie. Because I don't know if I could watch Daisy Ridley on screen without having John Williams be her backdrop to her next adventure.
Well, at least, you know, even if it's a new composer, they're going to use Ray's theme.
Yeah.
Like, they're still
Of
gonna use
course,
her.
of course.
Yeah.
I'm saying something
Bake it
new.
in. Yeah, I mean, gosh, this guy, you know, too much. There was a video too of the interview with him, and there's just going through like that list of everything he's ever done, and then like even at the very end, he's mentioning other movies too that like weren't even, you know, part of the interview. Like they were like, talk about this, talk about this, talk about this, and he would like mention other ones that he's done, and it was like Jurassic Park, you know. And it's like, why wasn't that included in like the main list of things he's done? Because he's done so many good things that you can't include them all. But it makes me kind of think, you know, 54 Oscar nominations, and at what point does the Oscar just honor him? You know, like at what point do we see something in the ceremony that's just like, hey, we're taking this 15 minutes to just honor this guy? And
I thought he has been honored. He might have been.
Maybe. I guess it's just that he's getting older and he's still in the game. You know what I mean? And I kind of wondered like if they're holding off on a year that he doesn't get nominated, because it would always stink for him to not win, you know?
Yeah.
So like they do this big thing for him, and then they announce him later in the show and he loses. I don't know.
He has the most Oscar nominations ever.
54, right?
Yeah.
Other than Walt Disney, right?
How about, well, I don't know if Walt Disney individually, like I just Googled it and ABC says John Williams has the most individual Oscar nominations.
Okay, so there must be something in there.
But why not just, you want to honor John Williams? Rename the statue Williams. Why is it called Oscar? Nobody knows.
I'm pretty sure there's a reason why, but I don't know what it is offhand.
Apparently, there's a theory that the Academy librarian thought the statue looked like her uncle Oscar.
Oh, I've heard that before. Yeah, looks
That's
like an Oscar.
That's the most hardened theory. Let's get rid of it.
I mean,
We're gonna call them
yeah,
Williams
Oscar is the nickname for it. That's not an official
his
name.
Hands like this. He put his hands like this.
I like that. That would be good. Just
the
make him
Williams
really
goes
skinny
to-
so you could use him as a baton.
Yeah. And the Williams goes to John Williams. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And he's like, I just won myself. This is fantastic.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk about sorry, I've lost my list. What's next on the list, John?
Let's get to that super chat.
Oh yeah.
We do have a super chat. So we're gonna bring up the super chat from Sneaky Zebra. What up, man? What up, Gary? Thanks for the super chat. He said seeing Williams conduct live at Celebration was insanely awe-inspiring. Absolutely. I teared up. It was crazy. And that's the second time he's done it. The first time he did it was the 40th anniversary.
That blew my mind.
That, like you'd think that would just leak out. They'd be like, hey, a friend I know is behind the set. They'd have a whole orchestra there.
And to have Harrison Ford there, introduce it, have him on the side watching John Williams conduct the Indiana Jones
They use his
scene.
quote in this article. They used Harrison Ford's quote from Celebration where he's like, it followed me into the colonoscopy, and he's playing it.
Yeah,
It follows me wherever I go type thing.
Yeah, music follows me everywhere. Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool.
Great points.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it, man.
Was that
Thank
it?
you. Yes.
Okay, well, let's talk about Star Tours and how it's expanding, because starting April 5th at the Walt Disney World and Disneyland Resort, actually Disneyland Paris is also going to be getting this. The Star Tours ride will now add new locations and characters from the popular hit TV shows Ahsoka, Andor, and The Mandalorian. And they put a little sneak peek out there, and I have it if we want to watch it really quick. Let's do that.
Saturday Star Tours. The turtle. That's gonna be cool.
That's Shin, right?
Oh yeah,
The
I
other
didn't
ship.
think. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
So you'll
Yeah.
probably get her and a little bit of like back and forth of like, they're following us.
Ahsoka,
I'll
yeah.
get you and stuff like that. Yeah.
What's the Andor one? Do we know
They
yet?
didn't show any videos, but let's speculate. What do we think? What would be the Andor
The
place
Eye.
to go?
Right?
Where?
The Eye of Aldani?
That makes sense.
Yeah, that has to be it, because that's cool. Like you'd
Yeah.
want to fly through that.
Yeah.
And that's like a once in a lifetime thing that they're like, oh, this is a special event.
Yeah.
What was it? Was it meteorites, like asteroids? Are they
Yeah.
coming down.
like
Okay,
fragments.
then that
Yeah.
probably makes the most sense.
People in
Yeah.
the chat.
And
skipped it.
then the
I did say this though,
Mandalorian.
guys. After we saw the whales, the space whales, I remember there's someone had asked what ride would we want to see, and I was like, well, since we're recently talking about this, the whales, and I was like, so when I saw this clip, I was like, makes sense.
Called it culture alert.
Look, I'm pumped when I'm right, because I'm
I-
never right.
I too was hearing space whales.
I didn't say I was hearing it. I said I just thought that was a good idea.
And then the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian probably could be as simple as you see the N1, and
Mhm.
I mean, they don't need to do anything crazy there as long as we just recognize what's going on. But if there was like a battle or some type of
Maybe
thing,
the dragon thing that chases after them, like episode 3 of season 3, that dragon with the babies. Because that's like a flying
Dragon
type
with the baby.
thing.
I'm thinking the same thing, John. I'm like,
Oh,
dragon with
yeah.
the babies.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
yeah.
I
babies.
completely forgot about that.
And then
Yeah.
the thing
And
could be on
everybody
top
was
of the
like, are
nest.
the babies foundlings?
That's not a bad
The-
idea.
The ship
Yeah.
could be on the nest, and it could be like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Do they always do it like it's an actual scene from the movies? I forget.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're jumping into the movie in the sense of it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember like all of the other ones. And the only one I can think of is the Return of the Jedi Death Star. And it's like, psh, you're there, you're in the fight.
But isn't there one where Vader's at the end of some sort of like
He grabs
bay?
you.
Yeah. That wasn't in a movie, but the closest thing to it was probably like Kylo Ren in that bay as Rey was like jumping onto the Falcon or something, because I don't remember Vader. I mean, except in Rogue One when the Tantive gets away, but
No, just
either
movies
that came
seen
after
past.
that ride anyway. But either way, this is that's cool. I like Star Tours that they're still investing in it, and they're not just letting it sort of be this old legacy thing. Like, oh, I guess we'll ride Star Tours. Like, they're still like, no, Star Tours is still pretty cool. Let's add some more stuff. That's cool.
Have you guys ever been the rebel, the hidden spy?
I think so.
No,
I think
but
once.
you have,
Yeah.
right?
I've been it once. And I think John was on the ride with me. Were you on the ride
Oh,
with me, John?
that's what it. I thought it was. Yeah. I think.
And I was
you.
sitting there
Yeah.
and I was going, I want to be the spy. I want to be the spy. And then the guy was just like, checking whatever. And that's when they pick your seat. And I was just like, please. And there were no kids on the ride. So I was like, I have a chance.
He's
And
like,
then
I
it
feel bad
happened.
for this poor woman. I'm gonna make her the spy, make her day.
Yeah, it did make
You
my
know,
day.
I'm the
like,
spy.
And no one was
not-
excited. No one was excited I was the spy. Everyone was silent. Like,
I was
the
not
best
excited.
part is
Yeah.
when you're the spy and the whole place erupts and they're like, yeah. And they're like, it's like a team thing. We got on the late, it was like one of the last rides we went on that night. And everyone was just like, well, we got to hit Star Tours. People were asleep. Or I was very annoying, which is the most likely option. So everyone was just not feeling it. I was like, I'm the spy. And John was like, look at that. He was doing the dad thing that like dads when their kids are like super excited and you're like, yeah, cool. Like that's what John was doing to me.
This is crazy. I came across this website that breaks down all of the options, including like what the story is. So like option 1, Darth Vader accompanied by stormtroopers uses the Force to prevent your star speeder from escaping. But option 2 is Kylo Ren accompanied by the First Order stormtroopers attempts to prevent your star speeder from escape. You know what I mean? Then it goes through all the planets and all these things. And I was like, dude, I did not know all of these were in here. Like they go to Kef Bir, they go to Exegol. And I feel like I kind of remember us talking about it a little bit, but like Naboo, Crate, Coruscant, you know, it's like, okay, there's some cool ones in there. And they talk about exactly like what was going on in the situation. And it really makes me, and I totally get it. I understand like that's why you go and that's why you ride the ride and you want to keep going to see them all, collect them all, if you will. But like, it really bums me out that I can't just watch these, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure someone snuck a phone in though. You could probably look on YouTube and watch, you know.
You might be able to pull off a couple of them. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. But it's cool nonetheless.
That's something to do.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then I think that's really it for Resistance Report. Do we want to get into the next section?
We do. Guys, it's time for Resistance Transmissions. All right, guys. Resistance Transmissions. This is where John puts up a crazy, wacky situation on social media, and you guys give your answers. And I don't know what the situation is. I don't know what you said, and we try to get through them. So,
it's not that wacky today, but...
Oh, okay. So the situation is there a Star Wars scene that no matter how many times you've seen it, still gives you chills or goosebumps? So this isn't really wacky or crazy. But it is a situation.
Silly.
All right. The first one came into our TRB Patreon Discord server chat. If you want to be a part of our Patreon, $5 a month, patreon.com/resistance broadcast. PADAWAN Mi-CHAEL said, in The Force Awakens, when the Skywalker lightsaber soars past Kylo Ren and lands in Rey's hand, that look of wonder on her face, the Force theme playing, it gets me every time.
That's a good one.
It is a good one.
That is a good one.
Next is Hug Eeyore at Hug Eeyore. Oh, says Yoda lifting the X-Wing, Luke, I don't believe it. And Yoda saying, that is why you fail. That is why you fail.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Frank Grande's up. What up,
They didn't
Frank?
use that pick.
At Frank
Thank you
Grande.
so much, Lacey, for your impression.
Luke Skywalker fighting his way to rescue the Mandalorian and Grogu. Goosebumps every time. It was a dream come true. Straight up crying, standing up in my living room like it was the Super Bowl at 3 a.m.
Were you screaming, crying, and throwing up by any chance?
Not throwing up, but
Oh,
that is
okay.
another tweet that John loves to see.
Oh, yes. Especially when it's like grown adults saying it. Funny.
Tell that to Kanja Club at Stoosh10.
Stoosh.
Said the end of Vader and Luke's duel in Return of the Jedi, my favorite of the entire saga. The design of that room, the tracking shot with everything in shades of blue and black outside of the lightsabers, all of it is elevated by a score that captures every bit of raw tension and energy coursing through those sabers. It's perfect.
That is very good.
Stoosh, what's it called when like a droid plugs into the system?
A scomp.
I'm also hearing it's called a scomp.
Yeah. my sources point to yes.
my source is Kyle Baker. Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah, it's not actually a tweet or a scoop. It's just what the 8-ball said. My sources point to yes.
Yeah.
Next is Kylo 10 at Full Commander. What up? They said, mine is Ben Solo arrives on Exegol. Well, depending on my mood, it's either chills or jumping and screaming. That was really, really awesome, where he's like just throwing stuff and running around like Han Solo. Mark, it's a kind of vacant. Mark, it's been a while, man. Wow. I haven't said that in like a hot second. Mark said, when Luthen yells, everything, I feel inadequate every time.
Yeah.
Next is Aaron Oania at Aaron Oania. Hey, Aaron. He said that moment. Yeah, way to get your handle. That moment in The Empire Strikes Back when they're escaping Cloud City and John Williams' score crescendos as R2 opens the door, chills every time.
That is a great pick.
It is a great pick. Next is Joey Sack at Joey Sack. What up, Joey? He said, use the Force, Luke. The way the music changes from the frantic battle score to a beautiful rendition of the Force theme gives me goosebumps every time. I love how everyone's saying basically they're getting goosebumps because of John Williams.
Yeah.
Every time.
Every time.
I'm also hearing that. People get goosebumps. Annette Boyer at How Net Rolls. Oh, okay. Okay, Annette. Get it, Annette. She said, carbon-free scene, Vader looming large. I love you. I know. Chewie's mournful wail. Leia Vader foreshadowing. Hondo's regret. Luke, this is like the Stefan skit on SNL. This moment has everything. Carbon freeze chamber. Vader looming large. I love you. I know. Chewie's mournful wail. Leia Vader foreshadowing. Lando's regret. John Williams' perfect score. You quickly understand the good guys are not going to win here. Gets me every time. If I took a shot every time you guys say every time in this resistance trip,
you'd probably have to take a shot every time.
I know.
I will funnel a cerveza cristal.
I was going
for
to
everyone.
Oh my god! And last but not least is Andrew Staley. Come on, Annette.
Or not that one. This one. Yeah. One more.
Your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough.
Cerveza cristal. Cerveza cristal.
It's a good little jingle.
I'm telling you, we got to get a button that like we could just randomly press that.
Just pulls it out.
Yes,
Oh
I'm all for that. Yeah.
It's gonna get old fast. Andrew Staley at Deuce_Staley. I saw him in the chat before. What up, Andrew? He said the end scene of TFA, Rey meets Luke. The music is perfect. A beautiful scene that always brings a tear to my eye. Except, Andrew, the helicopter shot at the end of The Force Awakens that some studio paid for and threw it right in there, and it makes no sense. If I had
Harrison Ford, he thought
if
someone was in trouble.
if I ever get to interview JJ Abrams, I'm gonna be JJ. What is that helicopter shot at the end of The Force Awakens? What is the point?
If you get to interview JJ Abrams and I'm not there, we're breaking up forever.
What?
If you get to interview JJ Abrams and I'm not involved in it, we're done.
I'm hearing that I actually am going to interview. I don't know why I'm doing this like I'm a reporter. I'm hearing, John, that I'm going to be interviewing him before you.
I forget his answer, but I did get to ask John Powell about why they added an extra like beat on the end of Solo.
You did ask
I forget what he said though. I don't even know if he like acknowledged it really. He didn't really remember.
He said, mind your own business, James.
Yeah.
John,
or maybe I was just too scared to and didn't do it.
Do I
John,
have
do
a
you have
bad ending of Star Wars? or
no,
something?
not a bad ending, just like a moment that doesn't make sense to you that like when you see it, you're like, oh, why did they do that? You have to have one. You have to have
Probably.
one.
When he says it, we'll remember.
I don't know why they replaced the Vader. I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch, but why they replaced the Vader line of "Bring my shuttle."
I didn't have that. Did you guys have that?
I did. I was just gonna play it while he's talking.
Okay, all right.
Cerveza Cristo.
Go ahead, John.
When they replaced Vader's line with "Alert
Cerveza cristal. Cerveza cristal.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Alert my Star Destroyer to prepare for my arrival." It's like, I just bring my shuttle was way cooler. And they didn't even have James Earl Jones do the replacement line. It was somebody else. So very odd. Change to Empire. But a nitpick, and whatever. I'm sure there's others that probably are more frustrating. But I'm
Like
good with
helicopter shot.
I'm good with the helicopter shot. I'm good with the extra second in Solo, because every extra second of Solo I can get, I will take.
That's fair.
And away we go.
Well, guys, thank you so much. If you want to be part of the show, make sure to follow us on social media channels at TRB Podcasts and look out for the situation, the Resistance
Yeah.
transmissions.
Yeah.
Back to you, John, for a nice.
Yeah. Thanks,
cool
everybody.
survey.
Very, very much. Make sure, if you're new to TRB, welcome. Subscribe free on any podcast app. Just search Resistance Broadcast on your favorite podcast app, or youtube.com/@theResistanceBroadcast. We have a video version, of course. If you're watching this, you know that. And spread the word. Tell your friends. It's always a good time, and the more the merrier. And the more we have, the more fun we have. And also, if you want to support TRB, we have extra exclusive content that Lacey alluded to earlier. Go to patreon.com/ResistanceBroadcast. We have exclusive episodes on there. Many episodes. We have polls, poll chats. We have a Discord server. We have some commentaries for the movies on there, some Mando commentaries, a lot of great stuff. So go check it out if you're able to. It starts at $5 a month. Patreon.com/ResistanceBroadcast. You're helping support the pod. You're allowing us to do everything we are doing and continue to grow this program and this pod, and this community. So thank you very, very, very much. A special shout out to our generals and spice runners: Carmelo, John Risi, Jetta Rosewater, Frank Grande, Nick Kratz, Chris Morales, Brian Smith, Matt Chitty, Danny, Mike Rumore, Brendan McLaughlin, Sneaky Zebra, Colin Cormier, Dave Hornack, and Jolton Jedi DiMaggio, and the spice runners: David Probus, Neil Shah, KENDALL, GELNER, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, and the THEFORTWORTHIAN, and all of our patrons, all of our listeners, everyone who's a part of TRB. Thank you so much. For me, Johnny Hoey on X, also Blue Sky and Threads. Not sure who's winning that battle. Depends on who you ask. And my movie pod, Just Like the Movies. We put out an episode last week on Rocky. Lacey, what about you?
People can find me on all social media channels at Lacey Gilleran, and on TikTok at It's Lacey Gilleran.
I'm also hearing that. James, how about you?
Social media is at Myra Trunks.
All right, everybody. We hope you have a wonderful
Wait,
weekend.
someone has a super chat.
Okay.
Oh, let's get to it.
John says he has a super chat. John, put your super chat in. I'm not seeing it. Hurry up, John. Time's a ticking. Hold on. Let's go to a commercial real quick while we wait for you.
Clear your mind of questions.
Ad break.
Cerveza cristal.
It is pointless.
Okay, too many. John, you're gonna have to get it next time, man. I tried.
Yeah.
I tried to delay for you, bud.
Thank you, John. It's the thought that counts. And we have a known scooper in the chat now, so we better get out of here before we really start blowing the lid off this stuff.
Oh my god, stop. I just noticed that stuff.
Someone just created an account. That's incredible. If I had to guess,
hearing
Adam Odell, but
another episode.
Because I literally was like, you should be an ice cream scoop.
this feels a lot like Adam Odell, if I know him. But we'll see. Adam, if that's you, wink in the chat. But anyway, I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your week, a great weekend, and we'll see you Monday with another episode right here on the Resistance broadcast. See you around, kids.